So let's get over to Monica now as we are getting more information about this storm.
All right, and so it's Category 3 right now, making landfall as a Category 4. It's losing some steam, but obviously that should be expected as it moves out of water where it gets fed to receive its energy. So winds are right now down to about 115 miles per hour. The northeast corridor of that storm is where some of the strongest winds and rain happened to be, and that was more towards New Orleans than, say, where it actually made landfall, where they were dealing with a lot of storm surge. Here's the path. It's going to continue to make its way through the northeast by the time we get to the middle of the work week. So this storm is going to hold its strength for quite some time here and slowly lose it by the time we get through the middle of the work week. We, on the other hand, will be tracking this red flag warning, which goes into effect tomorrow into Tuesday. Very high fire danger. We already saw some growth from the Caldor fire for today. You can see the significant smoke plume coming out, moving towards the South Lake Tahoe area, also towards the Kirkwood area. Out of the Dixie fire, seeing some smoke come out of there as well. But the smoke so dense and thick coming from the Caldor fire that it's picked up on radar, even some updrafts within that fire indicating it's creating its own weather environment. Gusty winds, erratic winds, some pyrocumulus as well, and a lot of smoke. That's where we're seeing the most hazardous smoke, is in and around the Caldor fire and then moving towards the Tahoe Basin. Started off with quite a bit of smoke yesterday for the valley for the weekend, but then things started to clear out for today as we picked up those light southwest winds. That's what's going to increase by the time we get to late tomorrow into Tuesday. And unfortunately, the double-edged sword is it creates higher fire danger. Now, this is what it looks like around the Dixie fire. We covered the Caldor fire just a moment ago, but you can see generally a southwest flow to a west flow there. Not a tremendous amount of hot spots around the Dixie fire, but we'll continue to follow it because that is an area under the red flag warning as well. Highs for today in the 100s through the valley, 90s to near 100 through the foothills, and then 80s to near 80 for the Tahoe region. But that was even with all the smoke they've been dealing with. That was how much the environment heated up, even with the smoke. Tonight, with the Gilmore backyard behind us, our temperatures cool back into the 70s and 60s. We'll continue with that southwest wind through about 10 o'clock. Then it shifts more out of the south and southeast. We'll still be dealing with a little bit of smoke, but this weather pattern shift is really what's going to be concerning us. Not so much for the valley with the smoke. We're going to see that actually not be much of a problem for us, but it's this low moving in, creating those southwest winds. Any kind of wind around those fires that are currently burning are going to be a problem, especially for the Caldor fire, which remains very active at this hour. Temperatures, meantime, 80s and 90s for the foothills and the Sierra with that red flag warning going into effect. We'll start to lose the winds by Wednesday. Temperatures will stay pretty steady, but the next 2 days are going to be the critical time. 60s along the coast. We're still hitting highs in the 90s to near 100 for tomorrow throughout the valley, and then we're going to drop those readings into the 80s by the time we get to Tuesday. Widespread 80s will take us through the end of the week.